Hey, in this lesson, I want to share with you 6 picking exercises that have really benefited my guitar playing a whole lot. I can play faster and smoother because of these exercises, so I look forward to sharing them with you in this lesson. My name's Will, you're tuning in for Campfire Guitar Star. All right, so I have all 6 picking exercises all tabbed out for you, and that's available as a free download. Okay, that's totally on the house, so make sure you grab that, get that pulled up in front of you, print it off, whatever you want to do. Just get that up in front of you because, of course, that's going to be helpful while we work through these exercises, just to see the tabs right up in front of you. And also, I just want to let you know that I just released a video all about picking technique, just all the stuff that I've learned from even chatting with some really big guitar players like John Five, Nuno Betancourt, Ian Thornley. Just been lucky to have attended clinics and things like that where I've been able to personally talk to these wicked fast players. And you know, I don't come from a shredder background really. I'm more into blues and classic rock and alternative rock and things like that. But whatever your background is, even if you're playing acoustic guitar, all these things will really help you play faster. And that's ultimately what I want to do with you in this lesson. And I think that every guitar player wants to play a little faster, a little smoother. And these exercises have really benefited me, and I'm sure they will for you too. So the very first one that I want to show you is this one. It sounds like this. I'm going to call this the will picking exercise because this is kind of something that I created. So it sounds like this. All right, so the reason I'm going to show you this first is that, like I said, I just created this. This is just something that I was riffing on. I was just working on something, particularly on my picking, and I came up with this cool riff that was like really exercising both my left hand and my right hand. But the key is that I thought it sounded cool, and hopefully you do too. But and that's kind of the idea that I want to throw at you is like, when you want to practice your picking, find something musical, find something that's like kind of cool. And it could even be, if you caught one of my past videos, the 8 Killer Riffs video that makes for awesome practice. In there we talked about a bunch of picking exercises, and Sweet Child of Mine comes to mind because, of course, Slash, when he created that riff, he was actually just working on his picking. And one of the bandmates was like, hey, I think you should remember that. That sounds cool. And of course, we're all very thankful that he did because that's a great tune. But it's interesting how a picking exercise can actually turn into a song. And hey, we're trying to play songs, so may as well make our picking exercises musical. But spoiler alert, there are some exercises in this video that aren't very musical, but you'll still get a ton of benefit from them. But so anyways, this one is basically just out of an E minor pentatonic scale with a little bit of E major pentatonic as well. So it just starts on this 5th position minor pentatonic out of the E. It's all in the G and Ds. So there's your first shape, and you just repeat 4 times. And then the next shift is just a little tiny shift with your 3rd finger down 1 fret on that G string. Got a big shift up here. So I would get this 1st and 2nd finger dialed up on the 11th and 12th frets, and then we're using our pinky finger, okay? And a lot of your guys' pinky fingers out there, I know they're weak, they're slow, so this is a great little exercise because we're really just focusing on that pinky finger. And then the last shape is this. Just sounds really resolved. All right, the next one in that PDF you'll find is something that I stumbled across on a Facebook ad, and I actually ended up learning the lick, and I just really liked it. It just sounded really musical and nice. It's by a guy, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I believe he's in like Norway or something, but yeah, it's Bernth, I believe is his first name. Go ahead and post in the comments if you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyways, the exercise sounds like this. So what's cool about that is that we're gliding across 5 strings in this case. So we've got a really big spread of notes, and it's just kind of picking, it's arpeggiating chords really. So the first chord would be a C minor 7, and maybe you just want to dial up that chord first and just pick through it. But then of course, if you single it out, it has a very different sound. The next chord is this D diminished, or D minor 7 flat 5, I should say, which sounds like this. In particular, what he talked about in this Facebook ad was striking the strings in a downward motion rather than like in an upward motion or flat. So it's kind of like this style. So like. Okay, so that's something that you can tune in on. The next one is this E flat major 7 chord. Okay, so maybe you want to dial up that chord. But then of course picked out. Using all 4 fingers. Okay, and the last one was the same as the first chord. In this case, we're playing an F minor 7 chord. So that whole exercise looks like this. I'm just gonna play the chord shape 1 each, but it sounds cool when you play the 2 or even 4 each. But here we go, 1, 2, ready, go. All right, this next one is what I call the Tom Morello picking exercise. In Audioslave, he got kind of a little bit more shredalific, and off of the Revelations album, there's a couple tunes in there where he was ripping it up, and the one pattern looks like this and sounds like this. So it's kind of cool because it's just kind of ascending modally, kind of these 3 different positions modally. So the first one is a B Dorian, and you can kind of think of about all these 3 shapes out of A major. But anyways, the idea here is that we've got these 3 different shapes, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8. So when you learn the first one on the first string, it ends up being the same on the next string. So that's the first one, is 10, 9, 8, and of course 10, 9, 8. Okay, so 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9. The next shape is going to be 12, 10, 9. Okay, so 12, 10, 9, 12, 10, 9. Okay, and then the last one is this position here where we got 14, 12, 10. And you end up kind of sitting on each one of those for quite some time. And the real big challenge that I've found with this one is switching to the next position. And I wanted to specifically talk about this part in this video because I think this is important, because when you're working on something, a lot of times people take on the whole thing. Like say if you're learning a solo start to finish, people just keep on starting from the start and trying to work their way through the whole thing. But I would recommend actually kind of putting some of these riffs and licks under a microscope and really focusing on little tiny areas. So I think that when you try this for yourself, you'll find the same thing, that when you do this, you might get into a good rhythm sitting here, but you're finishing there and you got to go up to the 12th fret. So what you might actually want to practice is something like this. right? Which really didn't sound like what I showed you there at the beginning, but that is certainly very much part of this lick. So I just want to mention that. Put some of these little tiny sections under the microscope as you work through these. But here's what the lick sounds like nice and slow. So we'll go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Switch. And what's cool is that you can actually go down again. And then finish it off here. Okay, so you could kind of ascend and descend down that nice little pattern. So that's the Tom Morello lick for you. All right, so the next one up is what I call the pentatonic groupings. So the pattern itself is just going down an E minor pentatonic scale in groupings of 4. So if you know the scale, it looks like this. But if we grab that scale and put it in groupings of 4, we would play it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we started on that note, right? So that means that we would start on this note next and go down another 4 groupings. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those first 2 together would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and you can continue down like that. Here's the 3rd note, so that would be your 3rd starting point. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and it can really kind of mess with your mind a little bit here when you start worrying about, okay, groupings of 4 and all this kind of stuff. Eventually, you will just get used to the sound. You know, it sounds very musical. Right, it sounds really cool and especially fast. And I got a little kind of finishing point there to round it out nicely, because you do end up running out of strings there in these groupings of 4. But yeah, so just try to get that sound in your head, that da 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 da, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, you might have to sit down with it and literally go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's kind of a nice way to end it, as very Eric Johnson style to go on these little patterns. So that in a nutshell is it. Okay, really cool. Love throwing that in. It sounds very spicy. And also, I just want to point out, like, a lot of your blues licks that you probably already know, but they can also be kind of thrown into this category. So I was even thinking about something easy like something like that. So you can grab something like that. Each note of that is picked, and it's like a pretty classic blues lick, but you can focus on it just like an exercise and put it to a metronome and all that good stuff and go like this. And so on and so forth. So you just kind of find some of your licks that you're working on and put those into your practice regime just like you would some of these other scales. All right, and the last one is featuring both modes, triplets, and economy picking. So what we're gonna do is grab our very first mode in the key of G major. We're gonna grab G Ionian or G major scale, and that looks like this. So maybe you just want to get the scale chart and the notes first. But of course, it's that classic do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and it just repeats. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa. So it's that sound, the Sound of Music scale, right? So, but what's interesting is that there's 3 notes per string on this scale, and so something that's worth mentioning is, instead of alternate picking, like how we've been talking about a lot of these other things, what shredders would do is they would go like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if you watch my picking there, I'm going down, up, down, But look, I'm already in this down position to land on this next string, so it only makes sense to do 2 downs in a row there. And that's why they call it economy picking, is because it's actually more economical to move in that way. So down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. And this is where it personally gets tricky for me, is in the upwards direction. So now I got to do that little economy pick in an upwards direction. So it starts on an up, down, up, and same thing, I'm just finished on an upstroke, so it only makes sense to do an up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up. Okay, so that all together would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, and let's hop into my favorite one. This is the picking exercise that I've personally gotten a lot of benefit from. And it's kind of like this crazy hybrid spider walk. It's like the spider walk on steroids type of thing. So the spider walk, of course, is like when you're using your fingers like a spider across the strings and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a lot of benefit to that, which I've talked about in some past videos. But particularly, it has this limitation where you're always switching the string on a downstroke. And what you're gonna find in a lot of musical contexts is that you don't always do that. A lot of times you're switching string on an upstroke, and then you switch the other string on a downstroke, and back and forth. And so we're constantly mixing up our string changing with our pick direction also changing. So the way that I have it tabbed out for you here is going to be like this. So I'll go ahead and rip through it so you can kind of get an idea of it. And then on the way down, it'll look like this. So like I said, the big benefit here is that we're constantly altering our down and up strokes as we change strings. So I'm just gonna go through one pattern, but just keep in mind that once you get the one pattern, everything stays the same. So we'll work on one pattern on the way up, which looks like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and that's all you do on that string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But then we're gonna skip that first note. We're going to climb up 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're done. So it keeps on following this 1, 2, 3, 4 progression, but as you can see, we keep on dropping a string and things like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you just did your 1, 2, 3, 4 for the next string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the big thing to check in with yourself on here is the direction of your picking. Really make sure that you're doing alternate picking all the way through this, a steady down, up, down, up, down, up, okay? And just really quick, let's just work on one of the ones descending. So that's gonna look like this: 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1 all day long, but again, dropping that string and jumping back up and just moving back and forth between those two strings is really going to challenge your string movement and your pick direction. I've personally gotten a lot of value from this, and if you caught my video previous to my very straightforward, simple way to practice, which is playing every note on the fretboard, we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when you get to the top, ascending up 1 and then descending 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd really recommend for you to check out that video because I actually will guide you through that practice regime, and there's a voiceover just reminding you to like relax your shoulders and to breathe and to just focus on the metronome click. And it's actually not about speed at all. It's just really about kind of good practice, making it perfect and things like that. So we can use all those same philosophies with this particular scale, but of course this is a really big upgrade in a lot of ways because we're just engaging our fingers in a whole another level, and our picking directions and all that kind of stuff are going to be kind of mastered in this way. So what that would look like is something like this. So I go all the way up that scale, I go up one string, all the way down, up one string, and then all the way up the entire fretboard, because when you get up here, it's going to feel a lot kind of more clustered because of course the frets are closer together. So it's just kind of a wicked exercise. And I just noticed that when I integrated this one myself, it just really helped my guitar playing. And it's also just one of these things that, you know, it's just a nice thing to first pick up the guitar, put it in your lap, and just start playing this scale, because it's just so straightforward and kind of like brain dead simple once you get the pattern, and you don't have to think about it too much. It's just a nice thing to first warm up on and work on all your technique and stuff. So anyways, what that looks like is, for some reason I always start on the 2nd fret. You could definitely start on the 1st fret too, but anyways, so here's the pattern. Up one fret and then down. And then up one fret, etc., zigzagging all the way through the fretboard until you play every available fret on your guitar. So picking is a really big challenge. It's something that, because I'm not from a shredder background, I've really been kind of challenged by it. You know, when I want to play something fast, I was just getting scattered all over the fretboard. So I really focused in on these particular exercises, which I'm sharing with you here today. They've really helped me out a ton, just to get a little more prowess across the guitar, and of course, especially with my picking. Like I said, make sure to look at that picking technique video, which I've got all the kind of right hand technique, placement, anchor points, pick holding, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like these two videos will really get your picking going in the right direction. It certainly has helped me a ton, and given me some noticeable upgrades, and just some kind of nice resources to go to warm up on, you know, before I start playing and practicing. And of course, it will help you and myself get better, faster picking. So thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up. Leave me a comment, and I'll catch you in the next lesson.